All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to round 5 coverage of Grand Prix Detroit. We're going to start in the middle here, watching, I believe, John Finkel and Andrew Beckstrom. And both of these teams are 3-1. We're right into the action here. Looks like Andrew's starting off with a double bonded construct on his end. Blue-green.
Bonded to the other bonded construct.
So it's funny, the thing is bonded construct, can't attack alone, but if you have two, you can actually attack with both. It's kind of funny.
They're shy.
Yeah, well, I guess so. They're shy. John Finkel on his side has Cleric of the Forward Order, gaining him 2 life. What do you think about the Cleric? Is it a good card? Is it a fine card?
Yeah, it's a fine man. It's a 2-drop. It has some occasional upside. The fact that you gain the 2 life no matter what is kind of cool, as opposed to the other cards where you need an additional copy of the card itself before you start getting an advantage.
Sure.
Then again, it is just a grizzly bear, and those types of cards, generally speaking, aren't the greatest in sealed formats.
Agreed.
This format, they are better than normal, though, for what it's worth.
Yeah. So John playing a Hitchclaw Recluse after his attacks. Back to Andrew's side, he follows up with a Towergeist. 1/4 seems pretty good versus 2/2/1s. I don't know.
Yeah, and the fact that it can also block the 2/2 flyer means that 1/4 essentially blanks Andrew Beckstrom's entire side of the board. So Beckstrom's really going to need to come up with an answer to the Recluse, and that's pretty exciting for Finkel fans everywhere. He's got this card that's considered one of the cards that a lot of people wouldn't want to play in this set, and here it is just working wonders.
Now, how about this card? What do you think about this card? War Oracle.
War Oracle, when the set first came out, I assumed that this card would just be a beast, because whenever you see cards like this, like Vampire Outcast, things like that, they're always insane. It doesn't play as well as I thought it would, but it's still a very powerful card for obvious reasons. A lot of the time, not a lot, some portion of the time, you end up with a 4/4 lifelink for 4 mana, and that's a deal.
Well, not only that, the format is so fast that I think just that 8-point life swing, if you have a Renown with it, it makes it insane,
Yeah.
Whirler Rogue on Andrew's side, but he's opting not to use the ability immediately.
And he does have plenty of artifacts there.
Yeah, bonded constructs, he can use them to tap for the Whirler Rogue's ability. I think he might be a little bit scared of the War Oracle, though.
Yeah, the thing is that when you start tapping a whole bunch of creatures to get in with something, then your board becomes more susceptible to something like Wild Instincts, where if John is able to use a Wild Instincts and then get in with the War Oracle, Beckstrom could find himself in a situation where he's never really going to be able to race.
So John's played his second Cleric of the Forward Order. This one's going to gain him 4 life since the one he previously played is still on the battlefield. But looks like we're reaching sort of a standstill. We'll see if Andrew makes any kind of attack this turn. A second Towergeist for Andrew.
Wow. John can't be happy to see that.
Yeah, so far, 3 of his 5 cards that he's played has kind of gotten him extra value of sorts. And we were talking about Louis Scott Vargas's match earlier where he was blue-green as well, and how it's more like a tempo-weak type of deck rather than trying to go over the top or anything like that. But we just see the power level of Andrew's cards in this match.
Yeah, now it seems like he's really going to need something to go over the top here, though. He's not really attacking. He's not pressuring. Now that he's 2 Towergeist, he can start attacking with both. That's pretty decent. He could also just start using the Whirl Rogue's activated ability and getting in that way. When it really comes down to it, though, he's not in the best of spots here.
Sure. We see Wild Instincts targeting War Oracle and Whirler Rogue. So John's actually going to gain 5 life because they're fighting and the War Oracle has lifelink. Looked like Andrew didn't have anything to do in response. He was holding up a blue and a green. Could have had multiple effects there.
John padding his life total quite well here, up to 27. Of course, life does not win you games, whereas cards do win you games.
Artificer's Epiphany from Andrew, and he has 4 artifacts on the battlefield, so he's not going to have to discard anything. Let's make that another artifact in Rune Servitor. And again, leaving up a green and a blue. I think I saw Alchemist's Vial in Andrew's hand, so probably signifying that he has some sort of trick now.
I think John has enough mana now to play Gideon's Phalanx.
That card is extremely powerful. I think he only has that one Wild Instincts in his graveyard, right? So he doesn't have the the spell mastery quite yet.
Not quite, but if he's able to combine that with, you know, some other type of big effect, he could just win the game out of nowhere.
Sure.
And the one thing that's frustrating about Phalanx in this situation is that the tokens don't fly. So when you're facing down a pair of Tower Geists and a bunch of Thopters, it's not really going to get your opponent the way you might hope it would.
Mm-hmm.
But just getting that much power for that much mana is a pretty sweet deal.
Absolutely. Both the Tower Geists are going to come in. Hitchcloud Recluse blocking one of them. End of turn, Gideon's Phalanx, giving John 4 2/2s with Vigilance. And he can actually start attacking in here.
Oh, absolutely. And he will.
So we see a powerful 6-mana card in John's hand.
Gracious.
So what is Draga Invocation going to do here?
Well, it's going to give all of his creatures +3/+3, and it's going to demand that Andrew blocks each and every one of them.
Right. So Andrew is going to activate his Alchemist Vial prior to combat, assumingly targeting the War Oracle so that it cannot attack. But that still leaves John with 7 attackers, all that are getting +3/+3, and like you mentioned before, have to be blocked. This looks bad for Andrew.
Yeah, Gideon's Phalanx into Draga Invocation is, in the business, we call that a 2-piece and a biscuit. It's filling enough.
Yeah. Even if John had no other creatures prior to casting the Phalanx, that would have been 20 damage split over 4 creatures, all with Vigilance. You see Andrew kind of throwing his cards like, yeah, I got to block like this.
Take 5. Put all of your creatures into your graveyard.
Completely negating all of Andrew's card advantage that he had previously got him. 2-piece and a biscuit, huh?
Yeah.
Is that the phrase? Okay. I like it. I don't think I've heard that one before.
And Andrew has drawn a lot of cards. I wonder what's...
It's not exactly the overrun, everybody loves, but it's definitely a very, very powerful effect still.
In a lot of cases, it's better than overrun.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a lot of time you have like a decently sized creature and they play something really huge. You can just use it as a removal spell.
Sure. Separatist Void Mage, it looks like, for Andrew, although it's not as an impressive card when your opponent's already cast Gideon Phalanx and has 4 other creatures on the battlefield. But
one down.
Yeah, we're probably gonna have to see Andrew play a lot more defense these next few turns.
And I think there are only going to be 3 more turns in this game.
Yeah, we see John with still a Rock Maulers in his hand for backup and another spell that I can't quite tell, but I mean he's just loaded up with things to do. Was that a Stalwart Aven, I think it was?
That's a good one, too.
Yeah, that's very good. All right, so John's going to be crashing in with the team. Andrew.
Fuck.
He's going to, Harbinger of Tides, which is going to bounce the War Oracle. Yeah. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of trading here. So do you double block the Spider and just take extra damage, or are you just trading away with all the 2/2s?
I think I double block the Spider because it's kind of free.
Mm-hmm. It looks like Andrew's opting to block all the Vigilance creatures and then just bounce off the Recluse and take 4. Which is fine. He's clearing off the board. And remember, he's drawn a lot more cards than John has. But the thing is that Gideon's Phalanx just got him so much value. Like if you're trading a 3 or 4 for 1 for Gideon's Phalanx, he's just so far behind.
Especially after the invocation.
Yeah. And the Aven and the Rock Smaller follow up for John. Guardians of Meletis, Timberpack Wolf. I think you're right. I think only a few more turns were what Andrew could pull through here.
Yeah, I think he's going to survive this turn. So 2 more turns than I expected before this game is over and done with.
All right, so the 0/6 blocks the 4/4, no renown trigger there. The Stalwart Aven's going to get through along with the Hitchclaw. It's going to renown. Both those creatures are going to the 2/2s are going to trade. And then John's going to follow up with his War Oracle again. And Andrew scoops them up after drawing a land. What kind of things can blue-green do to come back from that situation? I know there's like a displacement wave, mass bounce, but that only buys you so much time.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty difficult to imagine, you know, what people really have to do. I think bind snare.
Oh, sure. Well, that's like a fog effect, though, right?
Yeah, I think it's about as good as it gets when your opponent's plan is to, you know, end of turn phalanx, then Jiraga invocation. I mean, that's just such a powerful play. I think he could also just sideboard in some counter magic. You know, normally you don't want to sideboard in counter magic when you're playing against the green-white deck, but when they have cards like that.
We're going to the match between Dan O'Mahony Schwartz and Gabby Spartz here. And Gabby has a renowned Outland Colossus. That card is huge.
It looks like right now it's even a 13/13, thanks to Patron of the Valiant.
Oh, gosh.
So
that's the same thing that's making the Stalwart Aven a 3/5, I suppose. Yeah. But if we're looking at life totals correctly, and they're both on 6, Dan might have the better position. He just has a mass of creatures, one of them being the Bogart Brute, which is hard to block. Oh, wow.
Oof. That's a good one.
So Gabby has very, very powerful cards on the battlefield here. She just played a Sentinels of Eternal Watch, which is going to help tap down some of Dan's cards.
This is interesting. So I believe Dan has Exquisite Firecraft in hand also, which could make things pretty interesting.
And we saw that before in like the Paul Cheon matchup, where he was able just to burn the opponent out through any counter magic because of the spell mastery.
Oh, I was out of the booth for that one.
Oh, well, it doesn't look like Dan has enough spells or instants or sorceries in the graveyard to make that matter, but I guess Gabby's on green-white anyways, so. Going to combat, Gabby's tapping the Prickle Boar. I do like Prickle Boar. I've had hit or miss experience with it. It seems very strong.
With her tapped out, Dan wins this game. If Dan attacks with everybody, he's guaranteed to get in with at least 2 damage, and then he can just use Exquisite Firecraft and win the game.
And remember, the Thopter from the Engineer has haste.
Yeah, the Brute requires 2 blockers, so Dan can attack with everything here. 2 guys would have to block the Brute, and then he can block then Gabby will block the Sergeant, and that's it.
Oh, it was a Lightning Javelin that was in his hand, not Exquisite.
Okay,
so he's actually 1 short.
He is 1 short.
But he does get to scry here, and he's just going to fire that off. Maybe at Gabby's life total, it looks like. Leaving him in a position to win next turn, potentially. Gabby still with a few cards in her hand. Plays a land.
Interesting. I don't see what it is, but looks like
well, she's got to find a way to survive, so unless she can produce... Well, actually, I guess she needs an extra 2 creatures at this point because of the Thopter Engineer now that can attack. Doesn't look like we have the life totals. Oh, there we go. Now they're accurately depicting. So Gabby, in fact, is still at 3 off of the Lightning Javelin.
Yeah, so she only needs 1 more guy to survive, but that makes sense. So Engineer hits the bin.
Outland Colossus had to be blocked there. Oh, Gaia's Revenge. Ah. But Dan had topped a Lightning Javelin. Number 2. All right. Here you get another shot of the players. Looks like the team on the left has taken all of the game 1s.
Okay, good start there for Team Antarctica.
Antarctica, as affectionately you're calling them now.
Yeah, actually Jamie came up with that, so kudos to him. Jamie, actually the originator of many of Magic's most well-known terms.
Yeah, like you said, he's had a top 8 in, what, the last 3 decades?
Yeah, if you've ever... Oh, well, you look at that. Right on the top there, you'll see that the Magic the Gathering World Championship is going down the weekend after next. So make sure you guys tune in for that. Coming at you from PAX Prime in Seattle.
Write that down on your calendars. I know we're hyping it a lot, but man, this is going to be one of the biggest Magic events of the year. Highly recommend you tuning into it as we tune back into Game 2 between John Finkel and Andrew Beckstrom. And now we see Andrew with the Hitchclaw Recluse kind of negating the knight on John's side. And a Whirl-a-Rogue right on turn 4. That's got to feel great.
Yeah, when you cast that guy on curve, it feels pretty good.
Conclave Naturalists in John's hand, as well as that Wild Instincts. Is that the Gideon's Phalanx again, it looks like? Or is that a Suppression Bonds? Either way, it looks like the Whirler Rogue's going to fight some Wild Instincts.
And what do you do here? Do you block with both of the Thopters?
You're basically getting a 1-for-2 in that instance, but it looks like Andrew's opting to lose both the Spider and one of his Thopters.
Interesting. See, I would have valued the Spider over a Thopter myself.
I think so, but remember in the match previously, okay, that explains it now. I was going to say Andrew was trying to get a little more aggressive, but this explains it all. Thopter Spy Network, and he in fact has a Thopter. He was able to attack with it and immediately draw a card. Now, how do you find this card? I found this card also to be very variable. If you have a high, number of artifacts, sure, it's great, but sometimes you just don't reach that threshold.
Yeah, see, Thopter Spy Network has been weird for me because in my first, 5 drafts on Magic Online, I opened it up. And in 2 of those drafts, I ended up opening up another one later on in the draft, or getting past another one. And when I had 2, I didn't lose much. I was able to build my deck around it.
Sure.
But when you try to force building your deck around something in this format, things go wrong very often. And I found myself losing more often than when I was winning, when I would force a Thopter Spy Network plan.
Sure. And again, in game 1, we saw Andrew with double bonded constructs, so we can see that he's maybe playing the less powerful artifacts and trying to go more synergistic. Just like previously in game 1, John Finkel has the Conclave Naturalist in his hand. He just didn't hit the 5th mana in time, so he has to develop out a Pharika's Disciple instead. So in Andrew's position, do you just keep attacking with all the Thopters? It looks like he's going to do that just to get in for some damage, because you keep on getting one every turn, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're drawing cards also. So, I mean, that's the major thing is that, yeah, I'm losing this 1/1 flyer, but I'm replacing it with a random card from my deck while I'm also dealing you damage.
Yeah, this just seems really good. Wow. And Andrew with another huge flyer here. Alhalmaret, the High Arbiter. This is a 5/5 flyer for 7. I'm going to take a look at John Finkel's hand. Name a card.
Conclave Naturalist.
That would make a lot of sense to me. And say, no, John, you don't get to cast that. Oh, yeah, and I'm a 5/5 flyer. Gaining information like this, especially in a game of Limited, is so huge.
Yeah, especially for the next game. And now John, of course, hits the 5th land right on time to not be able to cast the Naturalist.
And, I actually thought John was going to be in a fine position, but he peeled or rather, Andrew peeled the perfect card to negate that. Rock Smallers for John. Again, the Naturalist unable to be played because Alhalmaret has said no to that.
I think John's going to need another copy of Wild Instincts if he wants to make something happen in this game, but his life total's dwindling quickly.
Looks like Andrew's just opting to attack with a High Arbiter this time, though. So I guess he wants to kind of play a little bit more defensively now that he's getting so much card advantage.
Yeah, I can see that.
Guardian Automaton, the follow-up play.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to get, you don't want to get run over. He's leaving enough guys back where he could, just toss a whole bunch of stuff in front of the Rock Smallers. And I appreciate that. Like, when you're getting this far ahead, it's usually correct to just aggressively trade.
That's fair. And it looks like the Mauler and the Pharika's Disciple are coming into the red zone here. Automaton and Tower Geist are going to reasonably block the Mauler, and looks like a Thopter's going to get thrown in front of the Disciple's way.
Yeah, I mean, this block is fine. If it were me, I would have blocked all of my creatures on the Mauler, and except one Thopter.
Just what are you playing around in that case?
That way you're playing around any sort of Celestial Flare stuff, like a Mighty Leap. Still get it.
Good point.
And then you're still churning out your tokens, and you still have your 5/5 flyer, so even if he has the best possible card, you're still ahead.
Now Andrew knows some of the cards in John's hand. He knows he has the Phalanx still, so if John hits one more land, he's going to be able to do that as well. 1/1s don't always fare so well against the the 2/2s. But it looks like Andrew has a bounding Krasis here to tap down the Recluse, get in with all of his flyers. He's also going to get a draw card off the Thopter Spy Network trigger. Looks like Andrew's really pulling ahead on this one now.
Yeah, now, I mean, in addition to all the other things he was doing, he's also drawing 2 cards a turn. He's blanked a card in John's hand. That's going to be it.
Looks like they're going to go to game 3.
So we'll jump over to another match here. You see Jamie there deep in thought. He can get really intense when you play against him. It's like pretty fun.
Never had the chance to, but I will take your word for it on that one.
Yeah.
All right, jumping down to the Jamie Park, Andrew Parnell matchup. Now Jamie's up a game, but I don't know about this position for him here. It looks like he is on the defensive role. The other Andrew seemingly attacked with Fetid Imp and the Graveblade Marauder. I like Graveblade Marauder a lot in this format. I don't know about you. That card seems very good.
Yeah, a 1/4 Death Touch for 3. I mean, you could delete all the other text, and I would be a delighted soul.
All right, I think Jamie attacked in with the Aven, pumped it with the Anointer. I don't know if he missed the trigger or not. He played the Automaton and kind of passed. So the round trigger might have been too late here.
Uh-oh. How do you feel about Anointer of Champions?
I'm really liking this card a lot.
I think it's insane.
Yeah, it just does
it's
so
like,
much work.
It's like the 3rd or 4th best uncommon in this set. It's so good.
Okay, I don't know if I'm going to go with that high with it, but it's
would.
definitely good. It's definitely good. I mean, there's so
like
many.
I take it over Topin Freeblade now.
Okay. All right. I don't know about that, but I do think it's great. It just forces, you know, all your 2/2s through your opponent's 2/2s or whatever. And again, it comes down a turn earlier than all your 2 and 3 drops, so it makes it so much better.
And then like people like try to, you know, like it just wins every combat so handily. It puts the +1/+1 where you want it at no cost.
Yeah. We do see Jamie that he just drew a Topin Freeblades, speaking of. Andrew has 2 Bogart Brutes on the battlefield though, and those are very hard to deal with. Especially in blue-white, where sure you can have some bounce, maybe you have a Celestial Flare, a Suppression Bonds, but if you don't have the massive creatures to block it, it's going to be really hard to come back from this.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Jamie comes up with when he comes out of the tank here, because when you're playing against 2 Bogart Brutes, you're at 12. Runs curved out. I mean, Andrew still has multiple cards in hand here.
Yeah. Although it looks like Jamie's hand contains 3 2-drops, Screeching Scab, Sigiled Starfish, and the Topin Freeblade, so he does have options. What 2 do you like to play here?
I think you just want things that have power.
Okay, so you just want to trade away.
Yeah, I just want to trade. It's a common theme. What I want to do when I'm playing.
You don't think getting the Starfish online and scrying is going to be more relevant? Maybe it's not. I mean, again, the double Bogart Brew is kind of a beating.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because you really just want to cast like a card that's going to be able to allow you to get both Brutes off the table.
Well, how about Anointer now when you're playing defense? Is it a very good card?
Not quite as good, but I mean, when you're the white deck in this format, the card lets you run away with games like no other. Sure. It is very, very good. I also prefer to be the white deck the more I play.
No, I agree. I agree completely.
In the beginning, I thought I wanted to be the red deck. Now I just want to be the white deck.
So it looks like Jamie might be kind of forced to attack in with the Aven again because he had missed the Renown the first time around, and he really wants to be a 2/4 so that it doesn't just get eaten by a Brute. Granted, he does have to double block with it, but if he wants to play Starfish and block with Starfish and the Aven, you know, then the Aven can't be eaten. He's going to get in for 1. No pump this time with the Anointer. Snap grabs the dice.
And if Jamie can get another turn, he's not in the worst spot. I mean,
certainly. And the Graveblade Marauder's not doing anything more than 1 damage. He must have a different trick in his hand if he's not playing out one of his other 2-drops.
Yeah, maybe it's some type of counter magic.
Sure. Now, would you bluff there? What if you didn't have anything? What if you're like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, bluff a Celestial Flare instead of playing on a 2-drop? Is that any relevant at all?
I guess it can make your opponent attack slightly differently.
because the brutes can't be blocked except for 2 anyways, and you don't really want to double block them, I suppose.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I don't think that I don't think Andrew would play around a trick here, even if he, you know.
Even he's sniffling out.
Yeah, you could try to sniff one out, but it's pretty hard to play around a trick here. So I think Jamie's has to have something, because one of the worst things you can do is bluff a trick when your opponent wouldn't play around it, even if they like knew you had it. So
I think that's a very good point, and a lot of people sometimes do that too if you kind of, you know, trick them and do that. Andrew just attacking in with everything here. I think I saw a Reeve Soul in his hand that he opted not to cast pre-combat.
I think Jamie's got to put the Guardian and the Anointer in front of a Brute, and I think that's his only block here.
Yep, I like that. If Andrew doesn't have anything, you know, then the Bogart Brute's just going to trade 1 for 1, which is great for him. He's even going to gain 3 life if Andrew decides to get rid of the Guardian.
I'll end up only putting him to 10 here. Still has a couple cards in his hand. Not the worst spot for Jamie Park.
It looks like order has been declared. All right, damage results. And actually, it looks like Jamie's kind of stabilized, depending on anything that does post-combat. A Crowan Sergeant. That's like my favorite red common in the format. I don't know about you.
Is here, of the red 3-drops, he's your favorite?
Yeah, I think so. Better than Gear Crafter.
You think he's better than the Gear Crafter?
Yeah, I had Gear Crafter very high to start, but then now the Sergeant just attacks into everything.
Yeah, I mean, Sergeant's really, really good. They're all good, Brute, Sergeant, and Gear Crafter. Like, none of them are getting cut from your deck.
Sure.
Right? But, yeah, that's funny because I had Sergeant as, like, the lowest of the 3.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough.
But I think it is very close.
Sure. So it looks like the card that I thought was the Screeching Scab in Jamie's hand was actually Mizium Meddler. And so when Andrew targeted the Aven with Reeve Soul, Jamie flashed it in response, changed the target, and Reeve Soul taking care of a Horn Turtle this time around instead of the Aven.
And Jamie's got a Enshrouding Mist here in his hand.
I love that card versus the red decks.
So good.
Actually, even the black decks. Andrew has double Death Toucher.
That card is just quite strong. When I first saw it, you know, it looks like those types of cards. You know what I'm talking about? Those cards.
Those ones.
Yeah. But then you play with it, and it's pretty impressive. Yeah. Like, you pick up a lot of 2-for-1s for just 1 mana. It's almost always killing something that your opponent spent more than 1 mana on.
Yeah, I find it similar to Feat of Resistance.
Yeah.
You know, so. And this one's even cheaper, 1 mana. Looks like Jamie's going to go on the offensive here. Aven slowly turning into the red zone. Is it connecting? Oh.
Yeah, that's an aggressive attack there, if he chooses so.
Yeah. I mean, Jamie does have, looks like a Foundry of the Consuls in his hand, so he can have 2 extra 1/1 flyers to block with at some point, but.
Yeah, I feel like you really just kind of want to play Starfish and pass here.
Sure.
Because the Sergeant, like, such an oppressive common, you know, that it is really good in this format. It's really good against the white decks too, when they're full of all these 2/2s.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can probably attack in with the Aven and maybe play the Starfish.
Another thing that's great about the Sergeant is that it plays really well on defense also.
Yes.
Definitely the best of the 3 on defense.
Okay, looks like just the Topin Freeblade's going to connect in here. Now, this on the surface looks like a free creature, and Andrew's got to be, you know, certain that.
Well, Anointer of Champions makes.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
There's an onboard trick. All right. Let's try to get in Andrew's head, I guess. So that's a great attack, actually. You know, it's just so it makes it so hard for Andrew to do anything.
And it also doesn't give away anything either.
Yeah.
You're not giving away any information. You know, that's an attack that you would make 1,000% of the time.
Sure. Now I'm wondering in that instance if he should have used the Anointer. Is it actually going to do anything else? Because he does have that Starfish. Most of his creatures block profitably now, you know, against the Brute and the Sergeant anyways. And I don't think he's going to be chumping with the Anointer.
Well, I think wants to leave the Anointer up so that he could double block like Free Blade Anointer on a Boggart Brute.
And again, just offering the
reasonable.
1 for 1, yeah. Andrew draws for the turn, thinks about it for a second. So Jamie did opt to go with the Foundry pass play instead of playing out the Starfish, which is nice because, you know, Foundry, both of those tokens can block the imp very, very well.
Absolutely.
Together anyways. So what are you thinking if you're Andrew here, besides the Foundry?
I mean, if I'm Andrew, I'm just thinking my opponent passed with Foundry open.
Okay.
I don't think you can really play around tricks here.
Sure.
Oh, so Andrew Beckstrom defeats John Finkel.
All right.
In the middle seat there. So now Parnell and Sparts, if either of them are able to win their match, they're going to have just they're going to get their I beat John Finkel in a match of Magic Pins, and
it looks like we have another update. Dan beat Gabby, so now we're tied at 1-1 apiece, and this is the deciding match. A good look in here. Erebos' Titan for Andrew Parnell. That card is a 5/5 for 4. That card is very large.
It's a big boy.
Jamie sacking the Foundry at the end of the turn, getting his 2/1/1 Thopters. I'm excited. I want this to go to a game 3. I don't want it just to end here if it does.
This is a good game right now.
Yes.
What's cool too is that because of the Anointer, Jamie can actually pressure with the Thopter tokens. Like he can send like, oh, I'll attack you with 1 Thopter.
Make that 2 damage. I have to imagine Andrew's going to be attacking in sometime soon, though. He now has a 5/5, a 1/2 potentially Death Touch, a 1/4 with already Death Touch, and a 3/2 that's kind of hard to block. But I think Jamie might have drawn Chief with it. Is that the Chief of the Foundry?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Those Thopters are getting a lot scarier. It is indeed. I think Chief is one of the, you know, the hidden gems of the set.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. It's a 2/3 for 3. Fine on its own in this kind of format. And then with as many Thopters or random artifact creatures running around, you know, just value, I guess.
I mean, people will play anything that has 2 power and costs 2 mana in this format, I've found. So just playing a 2/3 for 3, it's like kind of a trump card to everybody's strategy to begin with, and then it also just happens to have this ridiculous ability.
Yes.
Smacked on. And it doesn't matter what kind of lands you have, you can cast it. So it's like it's a great first pick.
Agreed. All right, so Jamie, again, opting not to play the Starfish, which has been kind of rotting in his hand for a little while now, but he is holding up the Enshrouding Mist, which is nice. Andrew, for the turn, drew a Blazing Hellhound. This is one of my favorite uncommons. Maybe not one of the better ones in the set, but in the red-black archetype, if you have any active treasons, combine that with Blazing Hellhound, that's pretty spicy. And given how many creatures that Andrew has, you know, he can start nugging away at Jamie's life total.
You can just finish it off with those.
Yeah. So Andrew's attacking with both the Titan and the Brute. Opting not to play the Blazing Hellhound pre-combat. I wonder what this means. What kind of blocks are you going to make here if you're Jamie and you have Enshrouding Mist in your hand? And also, what do you think about playing around?
This is kind of interesting. I mean, the Enshrouding Mist makes things a lot different. I think the Brute, you really just are going to shove 2 guys in front of the Brute, basically, no matter what. The Titan's more interesting. Now, how does the Indestructible work on the Titan again?
That's only if Jamie doesn't have any creatures.
If Jamie doesn't have any creatures. So right now it's just a 5/5.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you just double block with Freeblade and Aven on the Titan, and then you likely just double block the... Ooh, interesting, okay. He's going Chief and Anointer here, and then he's blocking with all 3 on the Titan there. And I like that.
Yeah, that makes it hard for
it means
Andrew.
Titan Strength doesn't save the Titan.
That's a very good call.
It means that Titan Strength doesn't save the Brute. So Jamie effectively playing around Titan Strength from both angles.
And of course, Jamie still has that Enshrouding Mist in his hand. Looks like Andrew's just passing priority after ordering. And so now it's on Jamie to use that Enshrouding Mist if he wants to save something. Oh, nice.
Yeah,
So
I
looks
like that a lot.
Yep, he's going to target the Chief of the Foundry. Bogart Root's going to die. Titan is going to trade away with the Aven.
Ooh, interesting. It didn't take out the Free Blade and the
token.
Token? Oh, he probably thought the Chief was going to die, so he ordered Aven, Thopter, Freeblade, and then the Chief lived. So the Thopter ended up living. Great Enshrouding Mist there for Jamie. There we saw the power, just how good that card is for just 1 mana.
We have a post-combat Blazing Hellhound that we were talking about. The Sergeant's now being sacrificed to finish off that one Thopter. Remember, the Thopters are 2/2s because of that Chief of the Foundry. Well, I'm going to assume that we're going to see Sigiled Starfish here since Jamie has nothing else in his hand at the island now. I've heard a lot of nicknames for Sigiled Starfish. What's your favorite?
Favorite nickname for Sigiled Starfish?
Yeah, like Patrick. No? All right. I tried.
No. I like Patrick. I'll take that.
Just Starfish, maybe. All right.
It's a wonderful creature. I have a funny story about a starfish, but right now we're watching Magic, so.
Fair enough. Jamie attacking in here with the Topin Freeblade. Anointer, again, doing a lot of work. This allows it to just straight up trade with the Grave Blade Marauder.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure every single attack that Jamie's made since we started watching this game would not have been possible without the Anointer.
I think you're right. I still don't think it's top 3 or 5 on commons, but I think it's very, very good.
Blazing Hellhound's a fun one.
Andrew just drew an Act of Treason.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's spicy.
That is spicy. I mean, that's going to be insane here. Right? He can steal the Chief.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Kill the Chief and kill the Anointer.
Yes. Also, thereby making the Thopter smaller for, successful turns. And the Blazing Hellhound and Fetid Imp are actually just insane versus the Scryfish and the Anointer, or the Scryfish and the Thopter, whatever he's choosing to leave. All right, Act of Treason, target your Chief of the Foundry. A shrug from Jamie. Do you like drafting or playing these type of cards if you have the synergies to go along with them, the Act of Treason?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think if I have the synergy to go with my Act of Treasons, then they're great. I'm not the all-in Act of Treason, get-you kind of guy, but I absolutely love Act of Treasoning alongside Blazing Hellhound and Nantuko Husk.
Yeah, I agree. So it looks like Andrew
Super fun.
Andrew sacked the Chief of the Foundry prior to declaring attackers to take care of the Thopter, and then attacked in with both the Blazing and the Fetid Imp. Now, could he have done that differently? Could he have attacked in with the whole team? I guess the Thopter would have probably just blocked the Hellhound, but if that's the case, then he could have thrown the Chief at the Anointer.
Yeah, I think it's fine either way. I probably would have made my move after I saw what Jamie was going to do there.
Sure. And I think the Starfish is going to do a ton of work for Jamie now.
Yeah, now they're both basically on empty.
Yep. Separatist Void Mage bouncing Andrew's Blazing Hellhound. Fetid Imp still getting in there. Oof. And that's going to present lethal next turn. Goldforged Sentinel, a card we've seen printed not too long ago. 4/4 flyer, artifact creature. Jamie's got to find an answer for that right now.
Yeah, I mean, if the card that's on top of his deck deals with that, then he'd be keeping. If it doesn't, well, he's dead.
Is there any kind of mind games you can play? I guess you think about it, and then I guess it doesn't matter. If you put it on top, it's obviously not something that deals with it.
Oh,
but he did leave it on top. To disperse. Okay.
Okay.
And this also lets him get in for a few points of damage. Andrew's starting to get kind of low. This will put him to 9.
Yeah, I mean, it's something.
At some point, Andrew's just going to be able to replay the Blazing Hellhound and kind of just throw everything at Jamie, though. Is the
next turn, I think, is when that happens, right? Where he's able to just...
not quite. The Hellhound can't sack itself, and I guess Jamie's still at 3 now. Yeah.
So. But he's going to be getting in for 1 at a time with the Imp.
Sure.
So.
All right, so he bottoms, finds a Topin Freeblade.
And that's it.
I'm assuming he's going to at least... Oh, never not mind. Feyna. Like you said before, sometimes you don't have really a choice to play around anything, and so I don't think Andrew would have been able to play around any Celestial Flare because of the imp and whatnot. Just like most team sealed events, we have all the teammates joining around, offering their input. I really like team sealed for that reason. I know we've harped on it a lot, but just the team aspect, you know, getting all the different opinions, something you might not have seen before.
Yeah, I mean, it's super fun. You get to play Magic with your favorite people to play Magic with, as long as you're also their favorite. Here we're watching Jamie Park play alongside John and Dan. 3 awesome guys. Jamie, very talented pianist.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
John, very talented Magic player.
Yeah.
Dan has great taste in music.
Okay, all right. And just to recap on the overall matches, Dana Mahoney-Schwartz defeated Gabby Sparts 2-0. John Finkel lost to Andrew Beckstrom 1-2. And we are now going to Game 3 between Jamie Park and Andrew Parnell. Hey, it's your favorite card.
Yeah, Anointer on the play.
Turn 1.
I'll take that any day of the week.
If he has a Topin Freeblade or something to follow up, that's going to be very, very scary. Or just any 2-drop, I suppose. Oh, no 2-drop, though. Andrew on the slower land go. Anointer again gets in. Jesse and Thief. Now that's a scary card with the Anointer.
Yeah, that one does some work.
Gear Crafter for Andrew.
Does not match up well against Jesse and Thief.
Or Anointer for that matter.
Yeah.
Going to combat. No blocks. Jeff and Thief going to hit for 2 because of Anointer and draw Jamie a card. Jamie has a lot of nice 4-drops in his hand, I see.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a Guardian here, or are we going to see an Aeronaut?
Yeah, we're going to see the Guardian Automaton.
I like that.
And I think he has a Separatist Void Mage in his hands, too.
Oh, wow. And he's got exactly 4 lands.
Yeah. Javelin's going to take care of the Jesse and Thief. Andrew's going to scry a land to the bottom. Attack in for 1 with the Thopter. Pass the turn back. I think Jamie's just going to tempo him out, or just mass him out here.
Yeah, looks like you can just keep going. No reason to pump the brakes yet.
And if we're counting, Anointer's dealt 4 damage. 2 itself and 2 from the pump, so I'm impressed by it right now. Aspiring Aeronaut following that up. Ooh, but Andrew has one of the better rares, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it also drew him a card.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Anointer, because he would have just gotten double blocked had it not been there.
Off of the thief.
Ooh, Claustrophobia is a great one to have when your opponent plays the
Priest of the Blood Rite.
Priest of the Blood Rite. Yeah.
And now Jamie is opting not to attack with the Automaton because he knows the Priest of the Blood Rite is going to continue to do 2 damage to Andrew. So he gets in for 3 after a pump.
It creates a pretty cool mini game here.
Yeah. Andrew has a few nice ones in his hand, though. I think he just drew Unholy Hunger. He has Active Trees in his hand. If he could find a sack outlet to sack the Demon and sack the Priest, he's going to be right back in this.
Absolutely.
I think Jamie has a Swift Reckoning in his hand. He doesn't have Spell Mastery for that yet, but... All right, Andrew's on the land pass play, so I have to assume he's going to Unholy Hunger something. He's going to use Unholy Hunger on the Anointer.
Yeah, I mean, how else do you beat it?
Yep, and that's also going to... That's also going to allow Andrew to trade away Thopters here. Jamie getting in for 1, but remember, Andrew's still going to be taking 2 damage from the Priest on his upkeep. Andrew's still desperately looking for a way to get rid of this Priest. And the thing is, he doesn't really want to attack with it either because that allows Jamie to get into the Guardian, you know?
Yeah.
Is that a second Unholy Hunger, I think?
I think it is, and that's pretty good. I mean, it's going to give him some life.
The thing is, he's probably going to have to use it on his own Priest at end of turn.
Yeah, and that's what he's going to do.
Yeah. And that's going to gain him 2 life because now he does have that Spell Mastery that the previous Unholy Hunger did not have. So it looks like he's kind of stabilized. He just drew a Reeve Soul, which is dealing with the Aspiring Aeronaut. Ooh. With Jamie with the Harbinger of Tides.
Oh, is it opponent controls?
Yep. So Harbinger is not as strong as you think it would, but it's still a very great card.
Yeah, I mean, it's... Yeah, I understand how it could be confusing because Void Mage is not inputting controls. So.
And the thing is, I still think he was probably flashing it in end of turn anyways.
Likely, yeah.
Yeah, since Andrew wasn't doing anything. So the Harbinger's going to trade with the Gear per Gearcrafter. Guardian Automaton gets in for 2. He's going to act Jamie's Guardian and just be like, all right, I got nothing. Land in hand. Jamie shows him the Mizian Meddler. Looks like Team Antarctica is going to take this one down 2-1. Jamie Park beating Andrew Parnell there in their game 3.
That was a cool match, though. I mean, game 2 was a grind.
No, it was a lot of back and forth. These are the best games for sure.
And then, I mean, game 3 we got to see the power of Anointer of Champions.
Definitely.
How it, drew him a card, dealt about 7 points of damage, and then was Unholy Hunger.
Sure. All right, it went up. It went up a little bit in my book. Maybe it's from 8 to 7 now, but I'm not calling it top 5 yet. Now, who do you think was favored in that matchup that we just watched between Andrew and Jamie? Because I think I like Andrew's deck a little bit better.
Andrew's deck did look a little bit stronger. I think that if Jamie was off to a good start, though, Jamie had, very aggressive curve.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the major problems with these, like red decks that are doing cool things in this format is a lot of the time you find yourself in a situation where like you just get run over. Like you don't have time to assemble your, doggy alongside his enthralling Victor Master, and you just get run over and die.
All right. Well, let's go back to the booth now.